Alright, to show off the capabilities of this tablet, and I'm going to show you a simple formula. P1 plus PA1 over T1 equals P2 plus PA2 over T2, which calculates the pressure taking into account accounting for temperature and ambient pressure. So let's say, for example, pressure 1 is 500 kPa plus ambient temperature of 101.1 kPa divided by 273 Kelvin equals P2, which is what we're calculating, plus 101.3 kPa divided by 275 K would give you a P2, which I calculated beforehand, which gives you a P2 temperature of 504 kPa. So if you're doing, taking notes or doing calculations or something like that on this tablet in school, you can do it pretty easily. And as you can see, it's currently showing everything. And if you want to finish, you just tap done. Oops, done. There we go. Alright, we'll start with the unboxing of the SyncPen 3. So let's see what we have in here. We have a notebook and a manual. Let's take a look at this first. So the manual tells you what is in, I'm going to read that later. Too long. And this is the notebook. Alright, so basically they give you a pack of paper that you put into the notebook here. It's similar to the notebook I have, actually. I kind of like this style of cover, at least. The paper, on the other hand, I think you have to buy refills. You have to buy this specific type of paper because of the micro dots, which we will talk about later. And what do we have here? Here's me. We have a pad. This is I don't know what this is called, but it's like a pad. So as you can see, I can draw, and then I can probably reset it like this. There we go. So let's put that aside as well. And finally, we have the actual pen itself. The most important part of this entire package, where all the technology goes into, and we'll see what we have here. Okay, so let's put all this aside and look at each of these items one by one. Okay, so this is the pen, the most important thing, the thing where all the technology goes into. It looks like a regular pen with a cap. You can take it off, and as you can see, that is a plastic tip which you can use to write on the tablet, which I'll show you later. And you can swap that with other tips, and the other tips you can find here are either more plastic tips or ink tips. So for example, you can take one of these ink tips, and then you just take out the plastic one, you put the ink one in here, and you can start writing like this. There you go. Ballpoint pen. Nothing too special, but these tips are tips that will, I guess, fit into the fit into the pen. All right. So we'll leave that aside for now, and then we'll put the plastic tip back. Here we have a little grabber, so you can actually use this to grab the tips. You pull it out, or you can use your finger. I just use my finger because it's a lot easier. And then we also have a micro USB power charger. I actually don't know where this charges actually. Probably here. Oh, right there. Yep, so it charges from up here. So that is the plug, micro USB. I'm gonna tap that back. And yeah, as you can see, it kind of looks like a fountain pen because there's this little thing over here, which is it's the camera, right? So the camera reads the dots on the screen, on either the screen or the paper, and then it kind of transcribes that for you. So put this aside, and we'll look at this. So what I'm going to show you now are the capabilities of everything here. You saw a little bit of me drawing and, writing down some formulas. I can write more formulas down, but Writing on this is kind of a hybrid between actually writing on paper, like this paper booklet right here, and writing on a screen. There is a little bit of feedback for E equals MC squared, hello world. It is pretty, there is a little bit of resistance, so you're not kind of skating across the entire thing. So the feedback is actually pretty good. I like how the pen actually captures everything, even if you don't have a phone present. All you have to do is press next, or you know what, it's just, oops, sorry. If you just, write something like this, like test 1, and you're not connected to your phone, you just press this button over here, and it automatically creates a new note for you. And then you press that to erase it. And then of course, if you want, you can also record sound. So let's do sound test. Hello everybody. I am testing my sound right now. And then if you want to stop recording, you press stop and finish. So as you can see, I have had a couple of notes here. For example, let's take this one. This is a note that I took while I was at church. This is just a note on a sermon. And with this note, I actually recorded voice as well. So I'm just going to do this. And recording. Oop. And then we'll just go play. So as you can see, the voice recording works well, but it comes from your phone actually, not from the pen. Which means that if your phone is not connected, you actually can't do recording as I was showing you before. As you can see, the handwriting recognition, or the handwriting tracking here is actually pretty decent. It tracks it very well. As you can see, I have really bad writing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit handwriting recognition, recognize, and you'll see that it doesn't do the best job just because my handwriting is so bad. But if your handwriting is better, you should be able to, because you can see that over here, I could do a freeze frame, but you can just look, you can see that a lot of letters are missed, but that is down to my bad handwriting. And if I write nicer, it actually recognizes it fairly well. I do have a pet peeve here. I do not like that every time you're writing something and then you tap on this button and it creates a new note, you can't really create a notebook with different pages in it. Every time you click OK, it just goes to a new note. As you can see, I have 3 notes here from the same day, from the same sermon, and I wrote so many notes here. And every time I hit next, or every time I hit this button over here, right there, it actually created a new note, and then you kind of have to combine it separately later, and that's a functionality that I don't think is very good. Kind of wish there was like a one note kind of functionality where it could create different notes for you and stuff like that. As you can see, this one is what I just showed you with the formulas, and so let's see how it recognizes that. Recognize. As you can see, it does not recognize formulas at all. You can see that it just took everything down and just transcribed it as, letters and numbers with no format whatsoever. So bad recognition for, formulas and stuff like that, as you can see. Yes. So all this functionality I just showed you was actually just for the LCD pad. If you want to go to the notebook section, you actually have to click here. And as you write in your notebook, it actually transcribes there for you. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. All right, it's time to test out the notepad and the pen. There we go. I'm just going to put this back right here. So I'm going to start writing something. Hello? Everybody. I am a cow. Oh, one thing to note is if you write like this, the camera is kind of not here. The camera's got to be below the pen, kind of like a fountain pen mode. If you do it this way, it doesn't work. So you got to write this way, otherwise it just won't capture it. So as you can see, it actually works pretty well. And I'm going to do the formula again. P1 plus PA1 over T1 equals P2 plus PA2 over T2. So I'm going to open up the phone and show you that it is recording quite well as well. So this is Note, of course, and it's doing fairly well. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to the next page and I see what happens. Let's see if it recognizes or it's just going to continue. And as you can see, it created a new page. New page 2. Wow. Fancy. And recognizes pages. That means that there must be some kind of information in the microdots that this camera here is reading to know what page you're on. So that's actually quite cool, especially if you're going for a full notebook like that. So if you're going to be taking notes on this, I actually quite like it. Functionality is the exact same, right? You're finished with this, you go finished, and you're done, right? So that's actually pretty good. And then of course, oh, actually, you know what? No, my bad. That was not the finish, because if you want to write, you just go to your next page and start writing, and it just records it. This is for voice recording. So I just hit play, and I'm gonna hit stop right now. Boom. As you can see, recording saved successfully. I think that's actually quite cool. Let's talk about a couple more things with this pen. The two things I want to talk about, the first is the ability to capture what's on the page in different lighting conditions. Right now, it's obviously very good lighting because I'm currently in a studio. And the other thing to note is that it actually captures writing in bad lighting conditions on the white better than it does on the black, which obviously makes a lot of sense, right? Because your black absorbs light, your white reflects light. So the camera in this pen captures it quite a lot better. So in most lighting conditions, you will be able to write and capture it quite well here. If you're in a decently dark location, you might not be able to, capture what's on here properly. So that is a downside of the black pad, is that it's a slightly less, it recognizes the words slightly less if your lighting condition is bad. The second is battery life. I really wasn't able to test the battery life too much, just because, I'm not taking notes every single day like a student that I am. But the battery life here should be able to last you pretty easily, so I wouldn't be too worried about that as well. Finally, please do note that if you are planning to buy this pen and paper, you will need to buy refill paper straight from NewYes. You can't just use regular paper just because there's microdots on the paper, as I showed you before. And of course, if you want to buy, if you want to use more pens, if you run out of ink, you will have to buy replacements from NewYes as well. They're not super duper expensive, so it's quite nice that they don't rip you off like crazy, but you just have to be aware that you will have to buy these regularly. And of course, if you use the tablet, then you don't have to buy replacements, because it's just a plastic nib over here. So all in all, I actually do recommend this quite highly if you're a student, because I know most students, when you're taking notes and then you want to record it and just make sure it's proper, is you write here and then you take a picture of the page. This is a much better solution. It is about $140 for the pen and I think the pad, I believe, without this tablet, of course. $140, so it's not super cheap, but I do think it's worth it. I personally am going to use the tablet a lot more than I am going to use this, just because this is super lightweight, and I can reuse this just infinitely. I never really have to buy paper. I don't have to buy pens, nothing like that. But the functionality for this is less useful than what you have in here, because this recognizes exactly what you're writing, exactly what page you're on, and I find it very, very useful. So if you're a student, consider getting maybe 1 or 2 of these for your school career, and then you can use this for the rest of the things that you do. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.